But then we went to Japan
Oh, yeah.
and raced. But you were out front all the time. I didn't get to race with you then. Me and Dad.
Listen, I'm still mad about Japan because we went there. I think
y'all had that one.
We had that thing. Well, we were so good.
Yeah.
So good. What stands out to me, a couple of things about Japan. This was when me and Rusty kind of had a little bit of a rivalry, and that you might not know a whole lot about that, but the way it kind of worked out is in '95 when I broke out and had that championship year, and me and your dad went and battled. Rusty kind of looked at it as this is my place, right? I'm the guy that's going to go up against Dale Earnhardt, and I'm the one that hopefully will come out on top, and my career is going to go poof. And then all of a sudden, who's this little punk kid, that came along? So Rusty had it, a little bit of a rub with me, and me and him got racing so hard in Japan that it ruined it for us. And I think your dad ended up winning the race, or Rusty won the race. I can't remember. I think it was your dad. And I was so pissed off at Rusty because he was like, no, you're not going to pass me because I'll do anything to keep you from winning this race. I don't care if Dale wins or anybody else wins. It's not going to be you. Because there was these huge moments in the sport at that time that were just standout races, whether it was the Brickyard 400, whether we went to Southern California in Fontana or Japan, that you just felt like, man, if I win this race or if I stand out in this race, this is going to elevate not just the sport, but me and my brand, or my place in the sport. So Rusty and I, we laugh about it now.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what stood out in his mind? He had a shoe thrown at him. Did Rusty throw a shoe at you? Because that's how Japan ended for him. Did you know that?
He threw a shoe at you?
Yeah. Dale, his dad did.
Oh, your dad did?
Yeah,
Oh,
his
no,
dad
I
did.
remember
So
that.
unless you had a shoe thrown at you, it ended differently.
Why'd your dad throw? I think I've heard this story.
This was at the Oval. The last time we ever went to Japan.
At Motegi.
Yeah.
So
you're up front running with
Skinner. God, now you're showing a whole nother race I'm pissed off about.
Somehow or another, we got I was doing okay, and I got up there with you guys and then smacked the wall trying too hard. But that dropped me back toward where Dad was. He's running 7th, 8th all day, just terrible. There weren't that many, really capable cars. And he had basically resigned himself to finishing where he was going to finish. They had another set of tires in the pits. Caution came out with like 10 laps to go. Tony Jr. said to Richard Childers, we have pit stall side by side. He goes, hey, you going to borrow that? You going to use that last set of tires? And Richard's like, no. He goes, well, we're going to use them. Dale Jr., come down pit road. We're going to put these tires on this car. So I come down pit road and I put tires on my car, got the restart, and I drove by Dad. And when I drove by him, we're coming off of turn 4, and I'm going, I'm throttling up, and I'm like, let me have it. And he was going to stay on my quarter panel.
Of course he was.
Yeah.
You obviously did not get a lot of time racing your dad.
Yeah.
You thought he was going to lift.
This was
He thought he'd treat him fairly, right?
This is my first race.
I'm just glad it wasn't just me and 90% of the rest of the field that he raced like that.
This is my first race with Dad, right? And I'm thinking, you see that I'm passing you. If you're on my quarter panel, I can't stay full throttle. I got a couple more laps to get these guys in front of me, and I ran him in the wall. But
questionable strategy.
This kind of reminds me of Daytona in 1997.
Off turn 2. Yeah. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
But he was so mad at me, and I went on, and I'm like, man, I beat Dad.
Wrecked him.
I finished 6th or something. This is awesome.
I got your Intimidator right here.
And we had those little cubicles where we could change clothes in. And me and Dad shared one of those trailers, those real renter mobile trailers. And so I go in there and I'm changing clothes.
Greatest
All
day of your life.
It's been a long trip, long way over here, but I'm happy. It's worth it. And Dad comes in and I just saw the look on his face, and I was like, oh, he don't want to talk. So I'm changing, and he's taking his shoes off, and I bent over to tie my shoe or something, and a freaking driving shoe went right over the top of my head. Had I not, I wasn't looking at him, so it would have hit me slap in the face. And it was coming hard. This wasn't no toss. I mean, it smacked the wall behind me. And I was like, man, he is pissed. He didn't say a word. And somebody peeked in the door and said, hey, you got 5 minutes to do an interview? Yep.
I got longer than that, actually. I got all the time you want.
He never said. He didn't say anything to me on the all the way home. He was so mad.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. It's rare that he was the one that was mad. Usually, it was always the other people that were mad at him. I mean, I'll never forget racing at Michigan, and I don't know what year it was, but it was a time where we had raced enough to know, how one another drove one another in the race and practice. And I'll never forget, we had an awesome car. I don't know if we were on the pole or up front. Fast car, final, I think, happy hour. And we start to roll off, and Ray goes, now listen, you just go out there, run some laps. We got a good car. You don't need to mess with anybody, and stay away from Dale. Because he just, we just, whether it was where we were at in points or whatever it was, of course, it didn't matter where your dad was at in points. Normally you roll off pit road based on where you are in points. Your dad could be 20th in points. He was the first car on the track. So I don't know what happened this day. I just remember he rolls out there, and he's about a straightaway ahead of me, and my car was just badass. And and I catch him, and I'm thinking, okay, Ray told me to stay away from him, but I'm going to blow right by him because my car is so good, and he was not that good. Well, I don't know, maybe he was checking up and waiting for me or whatever it was. We come off of turn 2. I get inside of him, and I drive into 3, and I said, well, my car's really good in the 3. I'll drive in there pretty deep. He'll lift. He drove right in there on my door. Sucked that thing around. I've never hit the wall that hard in Michigan. I mean, that was a hard lick. Luckily, it was more of a backed-in hit. Destroyed the car. And Ray was just pissed at me. I told you, stay away from him. I'm like, man, dude, I caught him from pretty far back. I thought I was going to go right by him. He goes, you'll never learn. You're too young. He was just mad. And I think I saw your dad like the next day at driver intros. I was like, Jesus Christ, man, what happened? He goes, I don't know, just drove in the corner, and I guess you thought you were going to outdrive me in there. And
Jesus.
I just stayed on the outside. I don't know what happened. What you talking about?
What compassion from the Intimidator.
So there was
that's something.
That brings up.
But makes up awesome story.
Did you guys ever have a very specific conversation about owning this perceived rivalry between the fan bases? Or did that just kind of happen? Because I guess our assumption would always be that you guys recognized, hey, we can make money off of.
Yeah, I wasn't good at that part. I just wanted to drive and race, kind of like some of these guys today.
Right now, right.
I recognize it later in my career, but at the time, I just wanted to go out and drive and win and perform on the track, and then the stuff would come along with that is the way I looked at it. But Dale would do things. Honestly, he would go and do. We'd be lap 5 or 10 of the Daytona 500. He'd take us 3 wide, and I was just going, "What the hell?" But he had this ability to know he's got all these fans up there. They're just going to love this. They're going to eat this up, and they did. And he also knew his car and his abilities and his team was good enough that even if that actually cost him some positions, it was worthwhile. He'll get it back. And he normally did, especially at Daytona and Talladega. So he just did stuff like that. He had this ability to read what the fans were kind of asking for.
Did he ever invite you hunting?
We talked a little bit, and he knew right away.
You ain't shooting anything.
That was not my thing. Even though I grew up, my stepdad was, still to this day a big hunter, and we've been hunting a few times since. But it just wasn't. My visions of hunting when I was a kid was early morning and really damn cold and wet. And
That's true.
I was show me the late afternoon or late night hunting, and I'm in.
Gotta go hunt with him. That's kind of
But what he did do was talk me into buying a boat because he started talking about his love for being on the water, and he started talking to me about, man, I like it because we got a tough schedule. We work our butts off, and this is my way to escape. And so, unfortunately, he passed before I got my boat. But I thanked him on one hand because it was some of the greatest moments. But what it was costing me is the part he left out, and I was cussing him at the same time.
There you go.
And I would have loved to have had that conversation with him to tell him about my boating experience and compare notes.